and welcome to another episode of Tesseract Talks, the place where we put the spotlight on tech trends, startups, and VCs. I'm your host, Marko, the founder and CEO of Tesseract Analytics, and it is my pleasure today to have Susan Walsh as our guest. The famous fixer of dirty data, she's the founder of the Classification Guru and an author of Between the Spreadsheets. Susan, welcome. How are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, good, thanks. The sun's out today, so that always helps.
That always helps. Well, I've been following you on LinkedIn now for a couple of years, and I really love how creative you get with your content. So, why don't we start by you telling the audience first a bit about your career background and what type of companies do you help now?
Yeah, sure. So you mean my squiggly line career, because I graduated with a degree in commerce. I spent my first 10 years in sales and account management, national account management with FMCG companies. I then decided that I didn't want to do that and opened a women's clothes shop here in Guildford. So beautiful shop, lovely clothes, and nobody came in to buy anything. So I needed a job, and I needed a job fast. I found an ad online to work for a spend analytics company classifying spend data. And because I'd worked for large companies, I thought, I think I can do that. So what was supposed to be just a temporary job until I found something more permanent, I ended up staying there for 5 years, growing a team of up to 14 people. We all classified data, I managed projects. Then we got bought, and it went from being a startup to a corporate overnight, and it just wasn't the same for me. So I kind of had two options: start from scratch again, because I didn't know anyone in procurement and I didn't know anyone in data, and I wasn't a trained data analyst. So I decided to set up the Classification Guru, which was 8 years ago. And yeah, since then we've been helping companies across the globe, giving them visibility on their spend data, they're cleaning their finance data, their vendor master data. We've also helped companies clean their marketing data, so CRM systems, ERPs. We've done retail category marketing data categorization as well, so data from Nielsen, Kantar, IRI. And then we've also worked with manufacturers to help them clean their material master data as well, which can be really messy. So we've pretty much seen it all. You know, the one thing, tech changes, new trends come through, but the one thing that doesn't change is people's issues with data quality. So I think we'll still be around for a little while yet.
Great journey so far. And tell us, why is it important to fix dirty data, and what are some of the challenges around it?
Where to start? I mean, think of it like the foundation of your house. Everything is built on top of that. The decisions you make for your business, fraud within your business, the efficiency of your business, your profitability, your bottom line, it's all based on data. And if that information is not right, it can make or break your business. Also, in terms of the time that your team are wasting, like having to clean data every time because someone hasn't put it in correctly. I mean, you're wasting thousands of hours a year probably across your organization. So, you know, it's really important to get those basics right and have some clean data.
Are there different challenges with fixing dirty data from a perspective of a large organization and maybe a startup, or is it always kind of similar problems?
Honestly, there's really not much difference. The only thing I would say is the larger the organization, the more mess and the more years of dirty data has accumulated that needs to be cleaned. And then it gets even worse if there's acquisitions from other companies and you bring in their data, and then it gets even messier. But honestly, data is data. At the end of the day, regardless of industry, company, type, size, you see the same kind of common things: typos, misspellings, incorrect information, missing information, all those good things.
And so let's say now I'm like a chief data officer, or maybe I don't even have like a data team in my company, and I reach out to you. How would that process look like? You would talk to us first to understand the structure of data. You would come in, what's the timeline?
Yeah.
I assume that the larger the data set, or it takes more time to analyze it and crunch it and fix it.
You'd be surprised, actually. But the first thing I do is have a call with the potential client and say, tell me your problems. I want to know not what they think is their problems, but what are they actually having challenges with. Then I normally ask to sign an NDA and get a sample of their data and have a look at it, and then show them what's wrong and how we could help, because they might think they need me to help with problem A, but actually I could also help with problem B at the same time. So by looking at the data, I can get a grasp of that. But there's a lot of different factors involved. The quality of the data to start with, the number of columns or rows, if there's languages involved, that can make a difference. But honestly, some of the smaller data sets we've worked on have been more challenging than the bigger ones.
Because
So
they
it
have
really just
more
depends.
differentiation.
Yeah.
So it's the amount of different stuff inside that's making it difficult.
But actually, sorry, just one more thing. Actually, I don't work with many data people. So my main client base comes from the procurement world, because they know I can really help them. I have a challenge and a struggle in the data space in that everyone thinks they don't need my help because they love what I talk about and my promotion of data quality, but they all think, well, we can do it, it's fine. And of course they can, but I could help you do it faster and more efficiently. You know, it's like, maybe I could help you just do things in a different way that you haven't thought of before, because in an organization, you work with one type of data and one data set, and you know it really well. Every day I'm working with a different data set, different company. So we can see things that maybe you haven't even thought of before. So I'm starting to work with more data people now, but that's taken like 8 years. It's been a while.
So I guess you can bring that like outside third perspective on like the overview of the entire situation.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about this like fixing dirty data projects, are we talking like days, weeks, months, like until we fix it? Like what's the timeline usually on these?
All of those things. And in fact, I'm working on a project now that started, initial discussions happened in about 18 months ago. I started working on the data set a year ago. We did the majority of the data set last year, did some tweaks, and then now I have some more data to now clean as part of, to add to that data set. But the problem is that I'm seeing that in that year, their team have added even more messy data into their data, which is making it even more of a challenge. But on the whole, I would say it's anything from 1 to 8 weeks on average.
Yeah, and I mean, my guess is that with all this AI, Gen AI, the thing happening right now, that I mean, the amount of data that's being created or needs to be analyzed is like exponentially growing. And as it's been on our feeds daily, one thing also has keep on coming up more recently, and that is AI hallucinations. Can you demystify a bit for our audience? What are AI hallucinations and how should they be addressed?
Okay, it's funny you say that. I'm actually writing another book right now. So there's a second edition of Between the Spreadsheets coming out in September. And I'm also writing a sales and marketing data cleaning book, which will be out next year. And I cover hallucinations in that. And basically, it makes stuff up. Maybe again, it comes down to the information that the training models have been fed. Maybe it's been given conflicting information. Sometimes it just outright makes it up. And the great example I can give you is I wanted to verify some addresses of some schools, which is public information. So you would think I'd be able to get that information quite easily. So I gave it the name of the school and the postcode and asked it to provide like the address. Of 15 schools, it got 4 right, maybe 5. The rest it hallucinated and made up the first line of the address. It wasn't anywhere near. I already had the correct information. I was just doing a test. It was completely wrong. It just made up these addresses. It had absolutely no context, no connection to the schools or anything. So again, but this week I've been using it to help me tidy up some messy data, which used to take me hours and now it did it for me in seconds. And again, I had to then go and manually still check and clean it because it doesn't know everything. So you have to really know your data before you start using it. Know what the right answer should be, so that you know when it's not right and can fix it and tweak the model and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's so I guess you need some knowledge and awareness with whatever you're working with in order to kind of still check these hallucinations. And the implications can be really scary depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, but it can also completely imagine and make up fictional historical information. Like, can tell you the wrong thing. Like, who was the president in whatever year, and it could potentially tell you it was Mickey Mouse, depending on the data, the prompt used, all that kind of stuff. So again, you have to have at least some knowledge. You can't blindly trust this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so what's next for the classification guru in 2025? And
Well,
where can people reach out if they are interested in fixing their dirty data?
So this year, this book that I'm writing, that's due at the end of this month. So I need to get that done. I'm working on 2 client projects right now that I really need to get their data cleaned and out the door this week. I've built a tool called Samification, which is a supplier normalization tool. We've just added 2-level classification to that. So that's really good for procurement teams. So I'm going to be building and working and developing on that. I have a few events coming up this year, but if you want to follow me and find out what I'm doing, best place to find me is LinkedIn. So Susan Walsh, the classification guru. And then also there's the classificationguru.com or samification.com, which is spelled like gamification, but with an S. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Susan, for coming to the show and sharing these valuable insights. That was all for today, and I hope we'll catch up in future, either on another episode or maybe one of the events here in London.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, and until next time. Bye.
Bye.